तव कथामृतम् तप्त जीवनम् कविभिरीडितम् कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलम् श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जनाः।
ओम तव कथामृतं तप्त जीवनं कविभिरीडितं कल्मषापहं श्रवणमंगलं श्रीमदाततं भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये भूरिदा जना. We are studying the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, and today where Mark 11. Mark is there. Yes. Today we have to start the conversations of Thursday, March 11, 1886. We know Thakur is in Kashipur due to his sickness, and it was 8 o'clock in the evening. Sri Ramakrishna was in the big hall on the second floor. Narendra, Shashi, M, Sharat, and the elder Gopal were in the room. Sri Ramakrishna was lying down. Sharat stood by his bed and fanned him. The master was speaking about his illness. So, it was, Thakur was feeling very hot, and Sharad Maharaj was fanning him. Master, if some of you go to Dakshineshwar and see Bholanath, we know Bholanath is the priest, one of the officers of the temple. He will give you a medicinal oil and also tell you how to apply it. So I had promised he will do that. So somebody, if he goes to Dakshineshwar, he can do this. Master, if some of you, the elder Gopal, there we shall go for the oil. Then we shall go for the oil tomorrow morning. M, if someone goes this evening, he can bring the oil. So M feels that urgency. Shashi, I can go. So all of them are ready, eager to serve the master. Master, pointing to Sharat, he may go. So Thakur is preferring Sharat Maharaj to go. So these are the arrangements. After a time, Sharat set out for Dakshineshwar to get the oil from Bholanath. The devotees sitting around Sri Ramakrishna bed were silent. Suddenly, the master sat up. He spoke to Narendranath. Suddenly, the master sat up because he wanted to talk to Narendra. Master, Brahman is without taint. See, Sri Ramakrishna has so much sickness and his mind is high. And instruction to the dearest disciple. Brahman is without taint, Niranjan. The three gunas are in Brahman, but it is itself untainted by them. So the source of Trigunatmaka world is Brahman only. The important point, the Trigunatmaka world has not come independently of Brahman. Some people say it is false and real and maybe false, but the creator or it is form of that very Brahman. This is important. That Trigunatmak world is not different. The Sankhya say Prakriti and Purusha, that is not correct. So Brahman himself has appeared as the Trigunatmak world. But Brahman is not affected by them because the Trigunatmak world is not real. So now that has vanished. You may find both good and bad smells in the air, but the air itself is unaffected. Smell is in the air. Smell is different particles. That is in the air. But they come and go. Air is not contaminated. Important thing. Example. Shankaracharya was going, no, beautiful example, huh? Contaminated or not contaminated. Shankaracharya was going along a street in Banaras and outcast carrying a load of meat suddenly touched him. What said Shankara? You have touched me? Revered sir, said the outcast. Outcast, do you know? Hinduism believes in four varnas, but there are people not included in the four varnas. They are called outcasts. Revered sir, said the outcast, I have not touched you, nor have you touched me. The Atman is above all contaminations, and you are that pure Atman. So, in the relative world, Shankar also had to learn something. Shankar's philosophy says so, but in practical life, he had to learn that lesson. Of Brahman and Maya, the Jnani rejects Maya. Brahman appears at the world through Maya Shakti, though the Jnani has a particular constitution. And he harps upon Brahman alone is real, world is unreal, so he rejects that Maya. Jnani, wherever Thakur tells, is not a Brahma Jnani. Jnani is a man with Jnana constitution who emphasizes transcendent Brahman. So Thakur is describing that. Maya is like a veil. You see, I hold this towel between you and the lamp. You no longer see the light of the lamp. I hold this towel between you and the lamp. You no longer see the lamp. That is like Maya. Sri Ramakrishna put the towel between. Lamp, he said. But Sri Ramakrishna put the towel between himself and the devotees. Yes, that is what I know. Then is it a lamp? Anyway. We are not upon the Bengal just now. প্রদীপের আলো দেখা যাচ্ছে না, okay. So these are two steps. First he put the towel in front of the lamp, so you cannot see the lamp. Then he put the towel in front of his face. You cannot see my face anymore. As Ram Prasad said, raise the curtain and behold. So the Maya curtain has to be raised within the heart, and there you will perceive Brahman. The Bhakta, however, is a different constitution. The people who emphasize Sagun Brahman, the people who have love for Brahman, they are called Bhakta. The Bhakta, however, does not ignore Maya. He worships Mahamaya, taking refuge in her. he worshipped that as Brahman Shakti. And Shakti will get aside and allow him to see Brahman. That is the Bhakta's attitude. Taking refuge in her, he says, "O mother, please stand aside from my path. Only if you step out of my way, shall I have the knowledge of Brahman." So Bhakta also gets the knowledge of Brahman through praying to that power of Brahman herself. The Jnanis explain away all three states. Explain away. Waking, dream and sleep. Explain away means they show that they are not real. Three states. Waking, dream and sleep. But the Bhaktas accept them all as sport of God. As long as there is the ego, that is the point. As long as there is the ego, everything else exists. Look, Shankar, in a place in the commentary on Chandogya Upanishad, has said that if world is unreal, then the I also is unreal. And if I is Brahman, then the whole world also is Brahman. So that is what is being told here. So long as there is ego, as long as there is the ego, everything else exists. So long as the I exists, the Bhakta sees that it is God who has become Maya, the universe, the living beings, and the 24 cosmic principles. He always includes 24 cosmic principles because they are enumerated by Sankhya philosophy. And Brahman himself has become Maya. Maya is not different. Brahman appearing as the world, the Shakti is called Brahman, Maya. So important thing, Brahman has become Maya, and through Maya he has become the universe. And in the universe, the living beings. See how beautiful is the description. And the 24 cosmic principles, that means living beings and so-called matter. Narendra and the other devotees sat silently listening. High philosophy. Compare between Vedanta, Jnana Marga and Bhakti Marga. And in that sickness, Master. But the theory of Maya is dry. Those who harp upon Maya, they become dry. They lose their love. To Narendra. Repeat what I said. He wants Narendra. Up till now he saw, he used to ask Master Maharaj. But now, before he passed away, he wants to pass all his knowledge to Narendra, and Narendra will become the leader and teacher of mankind. Narendra, Maya is right that he has got. Shri Krishna affectionately stroked Narendra's face, full of love, and hands, and said, "Your face and hands show that you are a Bhakta." Narendra used to appear as a man of reason and apparently Jnani. But the symptoms Thakur can understand, and you are a Bhakta. You believe in Sagun as well as Nirgun. But the Jnani has different features. They are dry. So not only the Jnana Marga is dry, that man himself is dry. He is bereft of the Ananda aspect of Brahman or the immanent aspect of Brahman. Even after attaining Jnana, the Jnani can live in the world now after Jnana. This was before Jnana. Now after Jnana. Even after attaining Jnana, the Jnani can live in the world retaining Vidya Maya. Maya appearing as the world. Within that, certain things take you down, certain things take you towards Brahman. So Thakur calls it Vidya Maya. So he can remain in the world accepting those things which is always at in your mind to God. That is to say, Bhakti, Vidyamaya is Bhakti, main thing. So this Jnani is a complete better Jnani. Read in the 13th chapter of the Gita, Avyavicharini Bhakti is about Sagun Brahman, is described as a factor of Jnana. That is to say, bhakti, compassion, renunciation, and such virtues, all that are including Vidyamaya. Bhakti, compassion, softness of the heart, feeling. Renunciation is also a merit, Vidyamaya. And such virtues. Such virtues. This serves him two purposes. First, the teaching of men, and second, the enjoyment of divine bliss. So the ananda he can experience. He can experience the ananda of Sagun Brahma, of intimate relation with God. If a jnani remains silent, merged in samadhi, then men's hearts will not be enlightened. So the jnani has this responsibility also. All jnanis do not follow that, but they have this responsibility. Therefore, Shankaracharya kept the ego of knowledge, and further, Shankaracharya kept the ego of knowledge. Some people give the ego of bhakti. That means, I am Brahman, I know Brahman. This is called ego of knowledge. And with that, he teaches people. And further, a jnani lives as a devotee in the company of bhaktas in order to, two things he had told, na? In order to enjoy and drink deep of the bliss of God. So he is a jnani, but he is a real jnani. So he enjoys deep the bliss of God. Ananda Rup Brahman. Then only is a full jnani, we should say. Real jnani. The ego of knowledge and the ego of devotion can do no harm. That is the main thing. I is there, but it is not avidya maya. It is illumined I, it is I relation to Brahman. So whether it is Jnani's I or the Bhakta's I, it will not cause harm. Real Jnani, real Bhakta. It is the wicked I that is harmful. Wicked I means I am this body, I am the son of so and so, I am the father of so and so. I, whose definition is not from God, but from factors of the world, body. That is wicked I. After realizing of God, a man becomes like a child. Ego is gone. The wicked ego is gone. There is no harm in the ego of a child. So third type of ego. What? Child has ego. Child knows he is there, that's all. But without any attachment, without any gunas, it is like the reflection of a face in a mirror. This is the simile. That it is known that the reflection has no reality of its own, but it is a reflection of the light. So like that is the child's ego. It is like the reflection of a face in a mirror. Face in the mirror. The reflection cannot call names. Reflection cannot call names. It is running away. How to catch it? Ah, here. Ah. Loke Galagal Dayana. Oh. So, 2-3 things are there. One is not, he does not see people different from him. He does not think himself superior than others. These two things cause a man to do galaga, abuse, bad words. So not holding other people as lower than you, bad. So no difference in good and bad. No difference between I and you. All is Brahman. That is Jnani's child's eye. And so this child's eye can never abuse others. That is the final result. Or another example. Or it is like a burnt rope. Rope, after being burned, appears to have that force, twists. But you touch it, they will go away. So it is only an appearance. Which appears to be a rope, but disappears at the slightest touch, slightest pull, slightest pop. If you do, it flies away. The ego that has been burnt in the fire of knowledge cannot injure anybody. So this ego goes and hits people, but it is burnt in fire. It appears like an ego. It is an ego only in name. Yes, that is it. So Gnani's ego is only in name, appears. Returning to the relative plane after reaching the absolute is like coming back to the shore of a river after going to the other side. You are gone across the river, but then you come to the shore. Such a return to the relative plane is for the same thing, teaching of man and for enjoyment, participation in the divine sport in the world. Sri Ramakrishna was talking in a very low voice because the throat is troubled. Addressing the devotees, he said, the body is so ill, but the mind is free from avidya. Mind does not hold that body is mine. Let me tell you, there is no thought in my mind of Ramlal or home or wife. Ramlal is nephew, working in Dakshineshwar, or home is in Kamarpukur, or his wife. So the mind does not have any thought of them. Mind is only filled with thought of God and the devotees to whom that knowledge has to be given. But I have been worrying about Purna. Beautiful example. Purna is a child devotee, and Purna is full of spirituality, and Purna is opposition from his house. So he's careful that Purna's spirituality should be bloom fully. That Kayastha boy. Now he is not of the same higher caste also as Sri Ramakrishna is. And even then, he is worrying about him. I am not in the least anxious about the others because they have now gone their devotees. It is God alone who has kept this Vidyamaya in me. So you can't say that I have kept the Vidyamaya because that I will again be in ego. So God's will is worked through people of knowledge. So God has kept that. He wants people to be taught through him for the good of man, for the welfare of the devotees. Man in general, devotees in particular. But if one retains Vidya Maya, one comes back to this world. So, coming back to the world. The avatars keep this Vidya Maya here. Avatars are God himself in human form. So they, after realizing in Nirvikal Samadhi, they come back. When he gets rid of all desires, then he is liberated. But the bhaktas do not seek liberation. That is another thing. Desires are gone, then liberation. But the bhaktas, normal, they like to have some intimate relation with God. and enjoy their bliss. They do not want liberation. If a person dies in Banaras, he attains liberation. That is a fact and a strong Hindu faith. He is not born again. Liberation is the goal of the Jnanis. So Jnanis anchor upon I want Mukta. Bhaktas do not. Bhaktas want love of God, whether Mukta or non-Mukta. Narendra, the other day we went to visit Mahimacharan, a apparent scholar. Master smiling well. Narendra, I have never before met such a dry Jnani. Master smiling. What was the matter? Narendra. He asked us to sing. Gangadhar sang. Swami Akhandananda. Radha is restored to life by hearing her Krishna's name. Radha has a swoon. But when somebody sings Krishna's name, she is up. She looks about in front of her. She sees a tamal tree, black tree, like Krishna. On hearing the song, Mahimacharan said, why such songs here? I don't care for love and all the nonsense. Besides, I live here with my wife and children. Why all these songs here? So he was afraid also, and he could. But Thakur used to tell him, talk him, and make him sing about bhakti. But that was only because of Thakur. Otherwise, that is his nature. Master to him. Do you see how afraid I am? Yes. That what wife will think is loving somebody. So people generally misunderstand these songs of Radha and Krishna, thinking that he is thinking of somebody else. Okay, so we come to Sunday, March 14, 1886. Sri Ramakrishna sat facing the north in the large room upstairs. Same thing it is describing. It was evening. He was very ill. Narendra and Rakhal were gently massaging his feet. So they love him. They are sitting with him and they are gently massaging his feet. M sat nearby. The master by sign asked him to stroke his feet. So M is a householder devotee, but Thakur loves him and he wants him also to stroke his feet. M obeyed. The previous Sunday, the devotees had observed Sri Ramakrishna's birthday with worship and prayer. Because they could not do pomp and show because of his sickness, but the birthday was celebrated with worship and prayer. His birthday the year before had been observed at Dakshineshwar with great pomp. But this year, on account of his illness, the devotees were very sad and there was no festivity at all, like showing joy and eating and other things. The Holy Mother busied herself day and night in the Master's service. So now, Master Macha and others have understood Holy Mother is present and she is cooking for Thakur and serving him in every possible way. Among the young disciples, Narendra, Rakhal, Niranjan, Sharat, Shashi, Baburam, Jogin, Latu and Kali had been staying with him at the garden house. So they have given up their house practically. They almost become sannyasis and they are serving Master. The older devotees visited him daily and some of them occasionally spent the night there, mostly Master Maharaj himself. That day Sri Ramakrishna was feeling very ill. At midnight, the moonlight flooded the garden, but it could wake no response in the devotees' hearts. They were drowned in a sea of grief because their Guru and Ishta and all that is so ill. They felt that they were living in a beautiful city besieged by a hostile army. So like that, city is beautiful, the man is joyful, but because of sickness, it is besieged by a hostile army. Perfect silence reigned everywhere. Nature was still, except for the gentle rustling of the leaves at the touch of the south wind. Sri Ramakrishna lay awake. One or two devotees sat near him in silence. At times he seemed to doze because of extreme exhaustion of that sickness. M was seated by his side. Sri Ramakrishna asked him by sign to come nearer. That sign of his suffering was unbearable. In a very soft voice and with great difficulty, he said to him, I have gone on suffering so much. Why? For fear of making you all weep. Understood? If I leave my body, you will all weep. For that I am suffering. But if you all say, oh, there is so much suffering, let the body die, then I may give up the body. So he has no value for the body. He is not the body. He can give it up. But his devotees will weep, so he is continue. But continuing means suffering. So his living is going away, all is for the word, for the devotees, not for himself. These words pierce the devotees' hearts, both sides. No? If he goes away, terrible. If we leave the suffering for our sake. And he who was their father, mother, and protector had uttered these words. What could they say? All sat in silence. Some thought. So he told this to him, but all heard it. In this another, is this another crucifixion? They remembered Jesus. Jesus was crucified and he suffered that till he gave up his body for the sake of the generation, devotees, sadhakas. So it is like that only. The sacrifice of the body for the sake of the devotees. That was crucifixion maybe for some hours, and this is for days together. It was the dead of night. Sri Ramakrishna's illness was taking a turn for the worse. The devotees wondered what was to be done. One of them left for Calcutta. That very night, Girish came to the garden house with two physicians, Upendra and Navagopal. So with the hope of curing Thakur, the devotee sat near the master. He felt a little better and said to them, the illness is of the body. That is as it should be. So how actually it is described as is he absolutely unconcerned with that? I see that the body is made of the five elements, so the decomposition will take place. Turning to Girish, he said, I am seeing many forms of God. Among them I find this one also, meaning his own form. So very clear vision. God comes in many forms. So he's seeing all those forms. And God has come as he is. So he's seeing his form also. Very clear statement to support Girish's faith. So that much only that day. We move on to next day. Monday, March 15, 1886. This all towards close of Thakur's life. About 7 o'clock in the morning, Sri Ramakrishna felt a little better. Within that somewhere, he talked to the devotees, sometimes in a whisper, sometimes by signs. So throat was extremely painful. Narendra, Rakhal, Latu, M. Gopal of Siti, same, older Gopal, and others were in the room. They sat speechless and looked grave, thinking of the master's suffering of the previous night. So now he's a little better in the morning. Master to the devotees, do you know what I see right now? I see that it is God himself who has become all this. So that is continuous now. Always he sees all this. It seems to me that men and other living beings are made of leather and that it is God himself who dwelling inside these leather cases. That means Sarva Vyapi, Antaryami, appearing as different forms, like leather cases, inside air is filled. So like that. Dwelling inside these leather cases moves the hands, the feet, and the heads. So the inside is the operator. Outside is only matter. I had a similar vision once before, so it has revived now. When I saw houses, gardens, roads, men, cattle, all made of one substance, it was as if they were all made of wax, as if wax inside of the cases. I see that it is God Himself who has become the block, the executioner, and the victim for the sacrifice. So, Thakur is sacrificing. So, in the Kali Puja, there is a Bali. And so, the block on which the Bali is given, that Bali and the heat, all this is only God's form. So, that is Thakur's wonderful real vision. As he described this staggering experience, in which he realizes in full the identity of all within the one being, he is overwhelmed with emotion and exclaims, "Ah, what a vision!" So even recollecting that vision, his mind goes high. So this becomes influences people, and they also feel like that to some extent. Immediately, Sri Ramakrishna goes into samadhi, in spite of all that body and all that. He completely forgets his body and the outer world. The devotees are bewildered, in spite of such suffering. Not knowing what to do, they sit still. Presently, the master regains partial consciousness of the world and says, "Now I have no pain at all." So, beyond the body, I am my old self again when he had no disease. The devotees are amazed to watch this scene of the state of the master, beyond pleasure and pain, weal and woe. So that is proof that Brahman is beyond, and again the Brahman is inside. He casts his glance on Latu and says, "There is Loto." He bends his head, resting it on the palm of his hand. I see that is God Himself who rests his head on his hand. So that is actually the full immanence of God. The same position and all that God is taking. So form is different, but it is God. That is the Vedanta real. Sri Ramakrishna looks at the devotees and his love for them wells up in thousand streams, like a mother showing her tenderness to her children. He touches the faces and chins of Rakhal and Naren. They too are special in carrying out his mission. Narendra is the leader, Rakhal is the king. A few minutes later, he says to him, "If the body were to be preserved a few days more, many people would have their spirituality awakened." That is a fact. He pauses a few minutes, but this is not to be. He has understood his avatarhood is coming to an end. So the mother's providence is not like that. He is clear about it. So he is not weeping and all that. This time the body will not be preserved. Up till now it is preserved, but now it will not be preserved. The devotees eagerly await the master's next word. Such is not the will of God. In his own will, he has found that what he had to do in this incarnation he has done. Now the remaining will be done through his sadhaka. This time the body will not be preserved. Lest, why? Finding me guileless and foolish, people should take advantage of me, and lest I, guileless and foolish as I am, foolish means he does not discriminate when he is kind to people. As I am, should give away everything to everybody. So they will not do any sadhana or anything, I will just give away everything. In this Kali Yuga, you see, people are averse to meditation and japa. So they should do sadhana and realize God. But if I show too much kindness, they will not do that. So the purpose of going away also is to teach. Rakhal, tenderly. Please speak to God that He may preserve your body sometime more, Master. That depends on God's will. Narendra has understood. Your will and God's will have become one. So you are talking of God's will, but actually it is your own will. You don't want to remain now because of you feel that the work is over. Shri Ramakrishna remains silent. He appears to be thinking about something. Master to Narendra, Rakal and the others, and nothing will happen if I speak to God. So Rakal said, you speak to God. He said, nothing will happen if I speak to God. I'm not different from God. Now I see that I and the mother have become a very clear statement. For fear of her sister-in-law, Radha said to Krishna, some other analogy, please dwell in my heart. But when later on she became very eager for a vision of Krishna, so eager that her heart pined and panted for her beloved, he would not come out. And that is the state now he is describing. Beautiful. Radha herself kept Krishna in her heart. But she wanted to see him, no, he is not coming out. So like that, Rakhal in a low voice to the devotees, he is referring to God's incarnation as Gauranga. So Rakhal understood that Krishna wanted to see how Radha loves him. So he took incarnation as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Radha outside and Krishna inside. And so that in that Krishna is not coming out and Chaitanya is weeping and all that. So that is the reference Thakur made. Now the devotees sat silently in the room. Sri Krishna looks at them tenderly out of love. Then he places his hand on his heart. He is about to speak. He pauses. The devotees eagerly look at him to hear what he will say next. Master. Yes, one is she and the other is her devotee. So in that very life, two things are being shown. The devotee, how he should worship her, and her, she is the reality. So that is incarnation. God also and man also. It is the devotee who broke his arm once when he fell down in Bhava. And it is the devotee who is now ill, that cancer. Do you understand that the reality inside is not affected? The devotee sat without uttering a word. Master, alas. So Thakur thinks that they are not understood because they are not saying yes or no. Alas, to whom shall I say all this? Who will understand me? Pausing a few moments, he said, God becomes man and avatar and comes to earth with his devotees. And the devotees leave the world with him. Rakha. Therefore we pray that you may not go away and leave us behind. So he catches that point. We'll go with you. So now you should not go. Sri Krishna smiles and says, a band of minstrels suddenly appears, dances and shakes, and departs in the same sudden manner. They come and they return, but none recognizes them. So my turn has come. People may or may not recognize me. The master and the devotee smile. In spite of all that, this has touched them. After a few minutes, he says, suffering is inevitable when one assumes a human body. So that should be clear for all of us. If body is there, suffering is absolutely essential. Nobody can. But how to live in the body, how not to feel that, how not to be attached to that, that one has to learn. Every now and then I said to myself, may I not have to come back in earth again, but there is something else. After enjoying sumptuous feast outside, one does not relish cheap home cooking. That is only an allegory, that if you eat food outside, one does. Meaning is that God, who has appeared in the world to save people, That has become God's habit. So he cannot keep quiet, he will come again and again. Besides this, assuming of a human body is for the sake of the devotees. Besides, devotees want him to come as man. It's a very important thing. Huh? People think Rama was born to kill Ravana. Krishna was born to kill Kamsa. Was that only purpose? Because God was born as Rama and Krishna, how many people can love him as their child, as their friend, as their master, as their lover, as their beloved? So that is the main purpose. And he can teach people how to go to God. So these are all the purposes, not only killing of a demon. Hmm. Where we are. Why is that? Oh, same conversation has come again. Huh? Besides the human bodies for the sake of devotees, Sri Ramakrishna looks at Narendra very tenderly because Narendra is passing through tremendous difficulties. And Narendra is bent upon realizing God. And Narendra is his dearest because he is going to continue that mission. Master to Narendra. Again, the old incident which he heard is repeating. An outcast was carrying a load of meat. Shankaracharya, after bathing in the Ganges, this is additional point small, was passing by. Suddenly the outcast touched him. Shankara said sharply, "What? You touch me?" "Revered sir," he replied, "I have not touched you, nor have you touched me. Reason with me," he said. "Are you the body, the mind, or the buddhi?" So this is a little more elaborate in the discrimination. Analyze what you are. You are the pure Atman, unattached and free, unaffected by the three gunas, sattva, rajas, and tama. Then why should you say you have touched me? Do you know what Brahman is like? It is like air. Good and bad smells are carried by the air, but the air itself is unaffected. So yesterday we heard this same thing. He repeats ad infinitum. Narendra, yes sir, he has understood now fully. Master, he is beyond the gunas and maya, beyond both the maya of knowledge and the maya of ignorance. So Vidya Maya, all that is beyond. Woman and gold is the maya of ignorance. So attachment for enjoyment is called woman. Attachment for the means of enjoyment is called gold. And that attachment is called ignorance. Knowledge, renunciation, devotion, and other spiritual qualities are the splendor of the Maya of knowledge. Vidya Maya is the splendor of the spiritual merits which help a man to be liberated, help a man to love God and not bound. Shankaracharya kept this Maya of knowledge, and that you and these others feel concerned about me is also due to the Maya of knowledge. So Thakur has made it clear. So-called attachment to the Guru is not an attachment because that is leading the mind towards God. So that is the Maya. Following the Maya of knowledge, step by step, one attains the knowledge of Brahman. Maya, with the Maya, step by step, will reach Brahman. This Maya of knowledge may be likened to the last few steps of the stairs. Then you will reach the roof. That is to say, some, even after realizing God, retain the ego of knowledge. So they can come up little down and up. They retain this in order to teach others, taste divine bliss, and sport with the devotees of God. So that is again and again is repeating. Narendra. Some people get angry with me when I speak of renunciation. The people in the world, if you say I want to love God, they will not disagree. But I want to renounce the world, then they will come up. That is wrong, they will say, because they will get lost and they cannot understand this renunciation. Master in a whisper, renunciation is necessary. So you do not be carried away by what the world says. He has supported that. Pointing to his different limbs. If one thing is placed upon another, one thing is placed upon another. You must remove the one to get the other. So remove the worldly attachment, then you get God. Can you get the second thing without removing the first? Yes. Narendra, true sir, he has understood that. Master in a whisper to Narendra. Two things whisper because the throat is bad and because others need not hear that. When one sees everything filled with God alone, does one see anything else? Narendra. Must one renounce the world if everything is God and to realize God? Master. Didn't I say just now? When one sees now, says telling another side. When one sees everything filled with God alone, does one see anything else? Does one then see any such thing as the world? So that is renunciation. I means I mean mental renunciation. I mean mental renunciation. That means in the mind he does not hold anything. Narendra is still to live in the world, so Thakur tells like that. Not one of those who have come here is a worldly person. Not one of those who have come here is a worldly person. So they are in the world, but they are not attached to the world. Very clearly said. Some of them had a slight desire. For instance, a fancy for woman is talking of Rakhal here. Rakhal and him smile. And that desire has been fulfilled. So they are free now. The master looks at Narendra tenderly and becomes filled with love. Looking at the devotees, he says, "Grand." With a smile, Narendra asks the master, "What is grand?" Master smiling. "I see that preparations are going on for a grand renunciation in Narendra's mind. So there is grand. Narendra and the devotees look silently at the master. Rakhal resumed the conversation. Rakhal smiling to the master. Narendra is now beginning to understand you rather well because he sees that is going on. And previously did not believe in God with form. That is now realized himself. Sri Krishna laughs and says, "Yes, that is so. I see that many others too are beginning to understand M also. 2M, isn't that so?" So he is asking that. M, yes, sir. Sri Krishna turns his eyes to Narendra and M, and by a sign of his finger, draws the attention of the devotees to them. He first points out Narendra and then M. Rakhal understands the master's hint and says to him with a smile, "Don't you mean that Narendra has the attitude of a hero and he, meaning M, that of a handmaid of God?" Because Thakur's gestures were so beautiful that without a word they could understand like a drama. Sri Krishna laughs. Yes, that is the meaning, yes. Narendra smiling to Rakhal. He, meaning M, doesn't talk much and is bashful. Is that why you say he is a handmaid of God? Why you say so? Master smiling to Narendra. Well, what do you think of me? You two are being told. What do you think of me? Narendra. So, Thakur has all this. That is what Narendra has understood by now. Narendra, you are a hero, a handmaid of God, and everything else. Is the congealed form of all spiritual attitude That Narendra has realized now. These words fill Sri Ramakrishna with divine emotion. Always it happens like that. He places his hand on his heart and is about to say something. He says to Narendra and the other devotees, I see that all things, everything that exists have come from him, come from this. So he has understood he is the creator, preserver and destroyer of the world. So he has understood everything has come out of this. He asked Narendra by his sign, what did you understand? Narendra, all created objects have come from you. He has understood it clearly. The master's face beams with joy. He says to Rakal, did you hear what he said? That he has understood me completely. Sri Ramakrishna asked Narendra to sing. That will give him spiritual joy. And Narendra intones him. His mind is full of renunciation. He sings, unsteady is water on the lotus petal. That is a Sanskrit shloka. Unsteady is water on the lotus petal, just as unsteady is the life of man. Nalini dalagata jatariram jarataranam tadvat jivitam atishaya chapalam. Vidhi vyadhigvanagrastam lokam shokahatam cha samastam. One moment with a sadhu in the boat, then takes one across the ocean of that is different stanza. Kshanamiya sajjana sangati reka bhavati bhavar nava tarane nauka. These two are sung. Narendra has hardly finished one or two lines. This is all from that Mohamudgar. When Sri Ramakrishna says to him by saying, what are you singing? That is a very insignificant attitude, a very commonplace thing. You are now filled with bliss and love. So why not sing of that? Now Narendra sings about the love of Krishna, impersonating one of his handmaids. So Narendra has become filled with the spirit of gopis or a dasi of Krishna. Now here, a simply fantastic song we can get all those who love God. We are gone. And the pages run away due to this ad. We must find out because that song is very important. Oh, our time is up. We'll take it up tomorrow. Our time is up. Om Tava Kathamritam Tapta Jivanam Kaviviridhitam Kalmashapaham Shravana Mangalam Shrimadatam Bhuigrananti Ye Bhuridajana. Om Shanti 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 Hare Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. You must have found today I reached Nagpur. I have yet to make arrangements. So today the scene you will see a little different. Tomorrow we will try to improve it. But the talk was not imperfect.